the Honeycomb Hideout sneak preview where we do a little show and tell with Polaroid next on Retro Serial. Hey everyone, welcome to Retro Serial. I'm your host DNC. I'm glad you could be joining me for today's program. On today's program, I'm going to be giving you a sneak preview of what we're going to be doing in our Honeycomb Hideout. Now, as I've told you before, you can go ahead and support the channel right now by hitting that like button, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the share button to let everybody know about the wonderful content you're getting here on Retro Serial, and hit the bell notifications if you want to be notified when these videos are available. In addition to that, you can go over to my Patreon page where you can support us financially with the tip jar, which is $3 a month, and the Cornflake Club, which is $5 a month, in which you get all videos and podcasts one day in advance, with the exception of this one right here, because this is a sneak preview of what we're going to be doing coming in October, and that is the Honeycomb Hideout. And I wanted to do something a little bit more personal with you on the Honeycomb Hideout. Now, what the Honeycomb Hideout is going to offer you, it's going to offer you exclusive material, okay? So there's going to be something that you can't get anywhere else for those people who join that club. And I thought, well, what better way of doing it? It actually came to me in an idea when I found this thing right here. This is a Polaroid 635, I don't know if that's supposed to be individual numbers, but CL 635 CL. This bad boy was made in 1985 actually, and I found this in my garage. And so what I wanted to do as far as the Honeycomb Hideout was, I wanted to do like show and tell. Like, I wanted to do something different, something unique, and something maybe a little less scripted and a little bit more personal. Maybe the videos won't be quite as long, but I just wanted to do something, like I already said, a little more personal. And I thought, well, what better way than to go through like my knickknacks and all the things that you see in the back here, and just talk about them a little bit, and we'll talk about what they meant to me, maybe share a few factoids on them, but really kind of be a little bit more personal with it. So I thought this was very interesting, and you might have seen it in my last couple of videos. It's been in the back. I found it about a week ago. Actually, I saw it longer than that. I was walking through, I said, oh, is that a Polaroid there on the shelf? I said, I bet that would be great to have on my shelf in the back. And when I originally got it, the top was closed, and I didn't know how, the top was closed, and I opened it and I didn't know how to reclose it, because this was my wife's camera and I hadn't seen this in a while. So I tried to reclose it, and I accidentally pushed the picture button, and it still worked. The picture came out. Now obviously the film's bad. Who knows how long it's been sitting on the shelf somewhere or in a box somewhere. And so the picture didn't come out, but the camera actually still works. So I wanted to share also, before I get to this, and I'm going to see if it works here on camera, I wanted to share some interesting facts about Polaroid, kind of a brief summary of the timeline. Polaroid was invented by Edwin Land in 1948 when he really wanted to do instant photography. He didn't want to wait to do photography. He didn't want to take a picture and have to go get it developed and go through that hassle. And he had the idea when he and his daughter were taking some pictures, and she said, well, wouldn't it be great if we could just see these pictures right away? And the lore goes that he kind of sketched this out. And as he sketched it out, he thought, well, what if we just started to develop some cameras that automatically made pictures? And so he worked on that. And he was already quite famous for a lens that he made, which was called the Polaroid lens, in which he was trying to get installed on cars so that they could shine brighter without blinding the people. He was actually pretty much a genius. The guy who invented this is Edwin Land. But in 1948, they came out with the first Polaroid, and you remember it was like the big one at the that you had to peel off, and you had to peel the photo out, and the photo was covered, and you peeled it off, and it was black and white. Very soon afterwards, they made color and black and white. If you wanted a black and white photo, it was 10 seconds. If you wanted a color photo, it was 1 minute. There was a big fight between Kodak and Polaroid that you may or you may not know about. And originally they got along because Polaroid was in the business of instant camera, and Kodak was thinking, that's really not ever gonna fly. Nobody's gonna want an instant camera. They're gonna wanna take a bunch of pictures and then go get them developed. So what Kodak did for Polaroid was make their film for them. And so they were actually in business in the early stages together. However, when Polaroid started to explode in the 70s and 80s, Kodak wanted a piece of that, but Polaroid pushed them out because Polaroid held a bunch of patents and they didn't want Kodak getting in on any of their business. So Kodak for many years tried to sue, tried to find wiggle room, and eventually in, I think it was like 1985 or something like that, they came out with the EK6. Actually, it was earlier than that. I mean, it was like 1980 they came out with the EK6. Sorry, I should have looked that little factoid up. But immediately Polaroid sued them and said that they were, which was, the EK6 was an instant camera. And 15 years later, they won. 15 years later, it took a 15-year litigation for them to win. And Kodak not only had to pull all cameras off their shelf immediately and all film off their shelf immediately, they had to pay Polaroid $1 billion. $1 billion. Yeah, $1 billion. And it was a crazy lawsuit. But actually, unfortunately, the next year, Edwin Land died. He died in 1991 at the age of 81. And so he never really got to see much anything after that, and he actually didn't get to see the downfall of Polaroid, because in 2002 Polaroid declared bankruptcy because there started to be a little thing called instant cameras. So Polaroid declared bankruptcy, and then in 2006 they stopped producing altogether. But that's not the end of the Polaroid story, as you know, because you can still buy Polaroids today, but they're a little bit more like retro Polaroid. There was a company called Impossible, and they started to do they were a Dutch company that started to do retro type stuff, and they wanted to do retro type stuff with producing instant film because they still said that there was a market for it. And they actually bought all of Polaroid stuff. They started to obtain all of Polaroid stuff, and they actually are today in 2020. Well, it's 2021, but in 2020 they actually changed their name from Impossible to Polaroid. So you can get a Polaroid. First they were called Polaroid Original, and now they're just, this company that's called Impossible is just called Polaroid. So interesting. So that's the camera right there. And that's not scripted, obviously. There's a lot of uhs and that's how these exclusives are going to be. They're not going to be quite as scripted. They're going to be a little bit more personal. And like I said, when I got this out, this part was closed, and I don't know how to close it. I'm sure there's a tutorial on YouTube somewhere on how to close it, but I personally don't know how to close it. So I accidentally pushed this button, and it took the picture. So let's see in closing whether or not this is going to happen, if it's going to take this picture or not. Nah, oh well. It did it once. Maybe it's got to close again. What a bummer. I thought I was going to close this with this great, photograph picture of this. But it did happen one time, and maybe the battery just had enough life in it to to produce this one picture. Oh well, too bad. So if you like this, now listen, if you're just watching this on YouTube right now and you like what I'm doing over on Retro Serial, I got a bunch of other videos, a bunch of other podcasts. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell notification, share it on your favorite social media. And if you want to go that one step further and you want to support us financially, we're over on Patreon. We have a $3 tip jar and a $5 a month Cornflake Club where you get all videos except for this one and podcasts one day in advance. And we are a podcast too, so check out our podcast. And then if you want to join the upcoming Honeycomb Hideout, where you're going to see me talk more exclusively about the stuff that I actually own, and maybe stuff other people own too. I don't know, just stuff, show and tell, just show and tell. That's coming in October, and it'll be filled with stuff like this and other stuff, exclusive material, just like this. All right, everyone, take care. I'm Ian C, and stay retro.